People always say that the mayor is not in charge of the schools, but the mayor is in charge of the city. So I think the mayor is the CEO of everything that happens in this town. So schools are a part of a larger system. I think part of the problem is people treat schools as a separate system than Newark. And so Newark, the public school system is encompassed inside of a larger city, and all of the things that happen in the city affect the educational process. The institutions, the universities that are here, the philanthropic organizations that are here, the private sector, the social organizations, the nonprofit, all of these affect the trajectory of these young people, the success of these schools, even the police department, how the police are deployed before and after school affects kids' safety going to and from school. So the mayor has a very intricate part in the development of children's lives in this city, right? So all of the institutions in this city, whether it's NJ PAC or Newark Symphony Hall or the library or the museum, all these institutions should have direct contact with our children with curriculum development, through after-school programming, enrichment programming. All of these things can be affected by the mayor. All of the universities that are in our city have to have a direct responsibility for the young people in the town. So we have to encourage the universities to expand, but to expand with the children that already are in our city, right? And that's important for them to be able to develop STEAM and STEM programming from elementary school all the way up to even helping us create programming in the school that will help children or young people who don't decide to go to college for workforce development. And so those things are important, and the universities can play a very important part in that, not just student development, but also staff and teacher development. So we have all of these brilliant people at these universities should be helping us kind of figure out how to improve schools in an environment like this and be a part of the whole urban reform discussion. I think it's silly for us to have a discussion and not include the universities in that discussion. And the mayor has the ability to make those things happen, just like the mayor has the ability to help expand the Jewish Renaissance healthcare centers in all of the high schools or get them put in elementary schools to make sure that we expand out or have some money or some funding so kids are able to not miss school and get checkups in school and be able to expand the time so it doesn't end at 4 or 5, but in maybe at 7 or 8 o'clock so parents can also be involved in that. I think the mayor has a very, very important role in the success of schools and the success of communities, period. We start before May 15th, right? So May 15th, we just hit the ground running. So we've already began to establish relationships with people and organizations to begin to let them understand that we have to develop a plan and a strategy that the community embraces, right? And it doesn't have to be one that everybody agrees with, every tenant on it, but it has to be one that we have a consensus around that we're going to move forward on, that we're able to bring people in the room who are not necessarily brought into the room together, that we're creating platforms for parents, for the university community, like I said, for educators, for teachers, for parents to be at the table and come up with a strategy that I think that should be led by educators. It should be led by educators, university educators, in the secondary schools. And I think it should be led by them because they know best. They know best practices and begin to organize a strategy of how to move Newark Public Schools forward, and not just in an academic sense, but in a fiscally responsible way, in a way where we don't have to close 20, 30 schools, where we don't have to disrupt neighborhood schools, in a way that affects what kids are learning in classrooms, because I think school reform really should be centered around what happens in a classroom and not just around where kids go to school at. So the building itself is not what's educating the kids. What's happening in the classroom is more important than any of that. And I think that our discussion should be centered around what happens every day in children's classrooms and the cognitive demand. What are we asking kids to do and perform every single day that they show up in school, and how do we actually get them to school? And we have enough people in the city that are interested in that and will give up their fighting and put their weapons down and put their shields away and come to the table and say, listen, let's make this happen. And I think the mayor has a responsibility and an obligation to get that done.